Welcome back to the Gabagools Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff. Uh, with me always is the Cuzzo Dan. How are we doing today?
Living the dream, my friend. Living the dream.
Perfect. Um, where to start? I mean, we have March Madness. We have baseball coming up. We have some trades. We have some minor league, some potential rookie of the year candidates sent down early. Let's just start off with Dylan Cease getting traded to San Diego. I know that happened last week, but what was your instant reaction to that?
Well, Cease, that was obviously, it seemed like the biggest thing on Chris Getz's mind or agenda was trying to find a deal to move Cease. It seemed like that was, obviously a young, controllable pitcher is very valuable, and it would have been nice to see the White Sox try to keep him, but at the same time, the team isn't in a spot right now to realistically try to contend. So I like the fact that he decided to move him, and the return seems like a pretty solid return. It seems like it's a pretty fair trade for the most part on both sides. I know I like Drew Thorpe a lot. I think he's going to be pretty good. A couple of the other kids I don't know as well. They're a little bit younger, but um, yeah, I mean, I think it's a solid trade for both sides, and I think, like I said, it's definitely a plus for the White Sox to try to get back in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And then coming from a Sox fan too, I have prospect fatigue based off of what we did before when we tore it down. We traded Sale, we traded Eaton. We're trading away controllable players and not winning. And that's probably the problem I have most with like Getz is he didn't come out like last off season or when he took over and said, "Hey, we're doing a rebuild," or "Hey, we're going to go all in," which I don't think anybody would have believed him either way. But we're kind of in this mediocre land where we signed like a lot of these veteran minimum guys. We signed a ton of them: Moustakis, Kevin Pillar. A lot of them got cut already, which is funny. We brought all these guys in. Maybe we'll bring them back for the minors, but more likely than not, no. So like big picture of it is I just have a lot of prospect fatigue. Drew Thorpe is huge. I think he's going to be a really nice piece. A couple of the other guys we got is um, I'm going to butcher his name, but
Yeah.
Iriarte. He's 22. He was a high A slash double A player. He had a 3.49 ERA and a 2.84 strikeout to walk ratio, and he had like a 27% punch out rate against all the batters he faced. He's got a good slider, fastball combination. That could help. And then they also got a guy, Zavala. He's 19, another high to low A player. He batted like 243 with 14 home runs and 21 stolen bases. Doesn't really jump off the page. He's a left-handed hitter, which Sox desperately need. Um, he's young, and he'll probably end up. He's an outfielder too. I should mention that, and he'll probably be a corner one. So maybe we'll finally get a good, right fielder. We haven't had one since Jermaine Dye. But yeah, overall, optimistic, I guess. I mean, I have nothing. This year is going to be awful for the Sox. So I'm glad we moved Cease while we did, though, because if he got hurt or had a terrible year, we're not getting that type of package. And those are all top like 10 in their system, too. So that helps.
No, yeah, solid return, and you definitely like we said, you got to try to. I like the term prospect fatigue. I wrote that down. I like that, but I think you know what? There's definitely something to be said about that. But yeah, you gotta every now and then you gotta trade away a couple of guys. You gotta try to rebuild and refigure it out.
Yeah, and that's the thing too is I'm perfectly fine if we go and say, "Hey, we're rebuilding." I'm fine with that. I don't care because the team has a direction. Right now, they don't have a direction. I think it is a rebuild. I think it's just they can't say that around Jerry. I think it's like, okay, we trade Cease. I mean, Thorpe could come up this year, and they're probably having 2 to 3 starting rotation pitchers who are rookies that they just got too. Kopech went back to the bullpen. Garrett Crochet is our Garrett Crochet is our opening day starter. I mean, this is fun. Like I love baseball so much that it's just going to be fun to watch Crochet come back if like because he was supposed to be a starter. We drafted him, I think. Don't quote me, but Tennessee. He was throwing like 102, had a nasty slider during that 2020 postseason. He was electric, and then he got hurt. I'm like, no. Uh, so yeah, we lost the A's in that series, but so optimistic with those guys. Jordan Leisure is another guy that got hammered yesterday, but he should be a pretty solid starter for us. But yeah, it's just like we have a lot of just missing pieces, holes, second base, right field, starting pitching. Still a lot of holes, a lot to fill. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Crochet because I was going to mention him. I mean, he is that guy when he came up a couple years ago. I mean, I call him a unicorn. I mean, that guy left-handed, throwing like you said, 100, with that slider. If they can find a way to keep him healthy, you're looking at potentially a top 10 starter in the league. I mean, his stuff is absolute filth.
Yeah,
Okay. I mean, and then Kopech too, he's a guy that, you've seen flashes from him, right? I mean, you got to figure out where he's going to try to find his consistency. Maybe that's in the bullpen.
I
We'll
think
see.
so. Maybe I kind of said this a long time ago after he was in the bullpen in 21 that he would be our future closer and we should leave him in the bullpen because he was so good. He was so good in the bullpen. He was dominant. And then they moved him back into starting rotation and it was rough. So, that's a guy I really root for. I really do. Big fan of him, but we'll see what he ends up doing. Um, but moving into, we actually did have live games too. I don't know if you caught any of those early in the morning on Wednesday, Thursday, but Padres and Dodgers played in Korea.
Yeah, I don't think I was getting up at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. to watch some of those games. I did see some people on the news that were getting up to go to some local bars that were opening up or, whatever. And I thought to myself, hey, you're a little crazier than I. But um, yeah, it was, it's good to see baseball back. It's good to see a lot of those stars kind of getting out there and it's cool to have the game out there too. I like what Manfred's trying to do and grow the game in different countries and all that. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Absolutely. I actually did catch one of the games because I woke up at like 5 just randomly. So woke up and watched it probably because I was sick, so I had nothing else I could do. But Dodgers and Padres split. First game, Dodgers won 5-2. Pretty big comeback too. The Dodgers had a 4-run eighth inning in the first game. Mookie Betts just had a huge series too. He's just such an underrated. I mean, he's an MVP candidate every year, but I don't think we appreciate him enough just based off of how good the league is. But Mookie Betts, I mean, he plays so many different positions and he's so flexible out there. You can't say enough nice things about him.
Yeah, and I've yet to see Mookie bowl a perfect game, but apparently he just keeps doing that every other weekend. So I mean, the guy's he's an athlete. I mean, I've seen him. I've seen video of him, shooting hoops, and I mean, I don't think there's anything the guy can't do. If he wanted to go up there and swing left-handed, he could probably go up there and hit a homer lefty. And the guy's that talented.
Yeah, it sounds about right. Yeah, and then so that game I think finished. It was like 4 or 5-2. The next night, 15-11. The Padres ended up winning. That was a hell of a game, but Yamamoto got absolutely demolished in that first inning. I don't even think he made it out of the first. Oh no, he did make it out of the first. He had 5 earned runs though. Gave up 4 hits, only 1 walk, but it's getting hit hard.
Yeah, I don't think he's had the best spring. The $325 million man or whatever he is.
Yeah,
You know, and the Dodgers too. They're going to be an interesting team. They're always an interesting team, as they're the Dodgers. But their rotation's good, but they got, as we know, a bunch of guys who are starting the year injured, and Yamamoto coming over to our league. I believe they're probably going to have him pitch once every 6 days. I don't know if they've come out and said that, but
I, that I'm not sure on. I know like Ohtani was on that as well. But we'll see. We'll see what it ends up being. I'm sure it will be. They do have enough young pitchers in that rotation too to be able to do that.
Yeah, but we'll see. I mean, definitely with him, you'd like to see some of those numbers in spring be a little bit better. I know his ERA's ballooned up a little bit, but you know what? We'll see how he does. His expectations are through the roof, so it's going to be a fun year to see what he can do.
Absolutely. Like I said, nice to have baseball back, and Thursday's the big day. Any any big predictions before we touch on a couple other players?
Big predictions. Hey, you know what? How's this for a prediction? NL Central. You know, Mom and I, we do our picks before the season starts
Yeah,
every year, and
absolutely.
we just did them recently. And last year, I picked our arch nemesis, the Cardinals, and I wasn't alone with that. A lot of people picked them, and they had a terrible year. So you know what? We're gonna change it up this year. The Central, you could see it. I could see three teams winning our division this year. But we're going to switch it up and we're going to go with the north side of Chicago. We're going to see if the Cubs did enough. I'm hopeful. Obviously bringing Bellinger back was the biggest move. I'd like to see what Ibanaga brings. I think he's going to be interesting.
Hot spring.
Yeah, he's had a bunch of strikeouts, which is nice. So I'm excited to see with Council coming over too. I think there's a lot of energy with this team again. That's a bold prediction for you.
I wish I would say that it's like completely out of left field. It's really not. They could win that division, similar to like the Sox in the past, where like the Central Division is so bad. I think there's a lot of like middle of the road teams in the Central. I think the Cardinals are just the senior citizen center at this point, and then you had the Brewers, who addition by subtraction this year, no Burns. You still have Yelich. You have Jackson Churio, probably rookie of the year. Uh, so it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tough division, but I wouldn't throw it past the Cubs to win it. They have everybody back. They added to the rotation at least, but we'll see. They need to add to the bullpen, but that's something you could always do mid-year. And maybe PCA, if he ever actually makes it up, could actually hit something, because he did not hit anything this whole spring either.
That's going to be his calling card. I mean, he's obviously an elite defender, so he's gonna get called up eventually because his defense is so good. But yeah, if he can find a way to hit and just get on base, he should be nice.
Absolutely. So yeah, best of luck to that one. Mine's going to be that the Orioles win the East. That's going to be my bold one. Other than that, it's going to, I could. I don't know if that's even a hot take, but you never know with the Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, the Yankees are projected, I think, to win that division, but a lot of that's got to be predicated on health. And I think Baltimore in the projections, I don't know if they're second or they might even be third behind.
Yeah, yeah. The
Um,
projections were not as high as I expected.
I don't see that. I could see Baltimore winning 95 to 100 games again, especially with Burns at the top of the rotation. The rotation still leaves something to be desired. It's not the best rotation nearly, but I still like their chances to take the division as well.
Yep. Speaking of the Orioles, they sent down four of their top prospects, Jackson Holiday being one of them. That was a shock to me. I think they could have easily put him at second base, but they have a couple of guys, not Ortiz because he just got traded to Milwaukee, but they have Jorge Mateo. He's still there, so I bet you they ride him for a little bit, and then once they realize he can't hit or can't produce, they'll put him. They'll bring up Jackson.
Everything we've heard about Jackson Holiday has just been good and then great. So I'm surprised. I'm surprised he got sent down and Wyatt Langford got the call up for Texas. So,
Yeah,
um,
Wyatt Langford
you
though,
know,
he's been so hot. That's the thing, is he's incredibly hot right now. I think he had 6 or 7 home runs in spring training, and like one of them was a grand slam. So the problem with the Rangers is he doesn't have a place to play. So he's gonna be a designated hitter. So first year that might be good because it's just that outfield is so clogged, and because you got Garcia in center, You just called up Evan Carter, and I think they still have Tavares too.
Yeah, and I think they might even have another one or two kids down there. I
Yeah,
mean, they definitely are a crowded team, and that's the scary thing. I mean, you look at Texas with how good they were last year, and I think they surprised a few people with how good they got after bringing Bochy in for 1 year. And I mean, I think I still might be taking Houston to win that division this year just because
yeah,
it's been going through them for like the last decade. But you absolutely cannot sleep on Texas.
exactly. You never know. I really do think that Texas, Seattle, and Houston will be the teams that really just throw up the most fights.
I mean that division. I mean, you can say that about a couple divisions, obviously, but man, I mean, when you look at the AL West, you've got obviously Houston's. It's ran through them for about 10 years or so. Texas, obviously, with what they've just done now recently, and then Seattle the last couple years has been. I mean, they might have the best rotation in that division. I mean, it's close when healthy with Texas and Houston. Obviously, some of those bigger guys are out, but man, I mean, there is so much to like with all three of those teams. It's scary.
It is. It's gonna be fun. So Thursday kicks us off. So let's transition over to March Madness, the actual fun stuff that we have going on right now. It has been a safe to say a crazy bracket so far with the amount of upsets. Um, First one I would say would be Kentucky losing. I guess as a I'm not a Kentucky fan, but
Same.
people who I mean, you got to wonder how long Calipari has left there because he has made it pretty evidently clear that it's all about the draft and that's it. There's no national championships. It's not like North Carolina where you're like going to be fighting for a national championship year in and year out. And if you're not, you reload really quickly and do it.
You know, I picked Kentucky to win one or two games in this tournament. You almost have to with that explosive offense. It seems they always have. But yeah, what a win for Oakland. I think that's their first win in tournament history. So congratulations to them. And I was pulling for them to rattle off another one off
Yeah,
of NC
it
State last night.
came,
Unfortunately, didn't happen.
came very close too. What's his? I don't know how to say it, but Golke or whatever, the guy who he had less than 10 2 point field goals all year. It was like 8. And so that dude just literally pulls up just like the modern day Jimmer Fredette.
Yeah, I mean, he lives by the motto of throwing up a prayer. I mean, that's basically all he did. I loved that graphic that they put up the other day where he had like 8 shots like under the hoop. It's like, okay, all right.
Yeah. Are those what was he doing? That's the best part. Um the biggest surprise wasn't that I'd have to say the South bracket just because James Madison pulled the upset over Wisconsin. I did pick that one just because I didn't have any faith in Wisconsin this year. Um, NC State surprised me, but they're hot because they rolled through the ACC tournament as well. They beat Carolina, they beat Duke, they beat Virginia, so they did what they needed to do. Marquette, they snuck by Colorado today, which is a surprise to a lot of people, I think, because I think that was a 2 seed that people thought were going to lose. But overall, the ones and twos have been really rolling.
Yeah, UConn's looked really dominant in
Oh
their
yeah,
couple of wins. North Carolina, they won. I don't know how many they beat Michigan State by, but
85 to
I mean,
69.
okay, yeah, so they pulled away a little bit.
Of course we did.
Um, yeah, these teams, even yeah, the ones and twos have looked good. I mean, I look into that the Yale Auburn game too. I think that was a 4-13.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, I was talking to somebody about that matchup, and we both were like, "Oh yeah, Yale over Auburn, yeah, right." You know what I mean? And of course, March Madness, here we are, and Yale. This is why we watch, right? This is the best
this
time
is
of the year, I
this is
think.
March.
It's crazy, and then you also had the Colorado Florida game. I thought was a wild game. I didn't see most of that, but 102 to 100 when you're scoring about 100 points in a game. I mean, that's wild.
Yeah, it was funny because I had put a little bet on Florida to come back, and it was like the odds were just like plus like 1,200. So I'm like, yeah, I'll throw like $10 at it, whatever. I thought they were gonna pull it off. I was so excited, and then they ended up choking, but that was fun. Uh, and then we got Illinois. Illinois made it to the Sweet 16. Iowa State made it to the Sweet 16. Um, BYU losing, that was interesting. As a 6 seed, almost every 6 seed loss except for Clemson, which they play tonight. So that'll be interesting. And we got Purdue kicking off in a little bit. They got Utah State, which I think they roll by them. I think it'll be close, but I think Purdue rolls on to face Gonzaga.
Purdue, I like Purdue, but that they're one of those schools that is just known for choking when it comes to tournament time. But I do like some of the players on their team this year, so I think if Purdue should get to Gonzaga, but I've also got the upset with the Zags taking the Boilermakers in that game. So as long as Purdue holds off Utah State, which they
They,
should,
sh- they
uh,
should.
that should be a really good game. So very excited about that one. And I was just gonna say something. I forgot who it was. Oh, did you catch any of that Creighton Oregon double overtime game last night?
I watched like maybe the last like I maybe watched 10 minutes of it total, just because I watched like 12 hours of basketball yesterday, so I missed out on it. But insane game. From I watched the highlights this morning. The like in the overtime at least.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you get an overtime game in March Madness, I mean, it's already madness with the tournament, and then you get a game that goes into overtime, and that's crazy. We've had a couple overtime games too. We had Northwestern take down Florida Atlantic in overtime. I should have picked Northwestern. I want to shoot myself in the foot for that one, and then I mean, a double overtime with Creighton and Oregon. I'll tell you, Oregon, man, they're one of those sneaky teams that gets in and seems like, they're almost a lock to win one or two games. It seems like they're a good team. Creighton, I think, is a three. They're a 2 or 3 seed. And for Oregon to come in as an 11 and push a 3 seed like that to double overtime, that would scare me a little bit if I was a fan of Creighton.
Yeah, I mean Creighton was a tale of two teams this year. At least every time I watched them, they would like throttle teams. They actually beat a good UConn team, and Creighton's one of those schools since Doug McDermott was there has been good. And they just know how to, recruit, and they get these guys just to play the best they can when they're out there. But yeah, Dana Altman from is the coach for Oregon, and he has just been electric recently. They just know how to win.
Yeah, and going back to the BYU, I mean, I had BYU playing Illinois, and I had BYU upsetting Illinois because they played them a couple times this year, and I thought, hey, if those two play again, what's to say you're going to have that a different outcome? But BYU definitely, I think, was a bit of a bigger upset going losing to like Duquesne.
Yeah,
And BYU's got that weird rule too, where they don't play on Sundays or something, right?
they do, and that's why it was funny. They were talking about that. A lot of jokes were made because they can't play on that.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Good for him. Good for him to to lose to Duquesne. You can't play on Sunday. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, good for Duquesne. Yeah, so it's been really chalky so far. I mean, outside of NC State, but NC State was, like I said, they were a hot team going into the tournament. I really wanted to pick them, but I flipped and I did pick Texas Tech. Um, and I would have picked Kentucky over them regardless. But um, they could take down Marquette because they just have this weird. When they beat Carolina, they had this really strong center is the best way to put it. He's very big, and Baycott, Armando Baycott, D'd him up really well. But the problem was every single time he did a little like hook shot, it went in every single time, no matter what we did. And then when it wasn't going to him, they were making every shot on the outside. So it was just one of those games. But uh, they could beat Marquette, but Marquette looks like now that they got, I think his name is like Jacob something. He's like their guard that can. He's an All-American guard, and he's excellent. He's back from his injury, so would not be shocked if they make it. But what is going on with the just ones and twos? Everybody's winning this year. And, this might be the first time, but my Final Four when I picked it was Carolina to beat Arizona in the Elite Eight. I had Houston over Kentucky. That obviously isn't going to happen. And then I had UConn playing North Carolina in the Final Four. Carolina pulling the upset, and then Purdue to I forgot who I picked. I picked Tennessee out of this bracket to beat Purdue, uh, just because I wanted to be different. But so far, everyone's still alive in my Final Four, which will be good. I don't think I'll win our bracket, but
I think I've already lost. I have to go
yeah.
back and look, but I think in my Final Four, I think I've lost Texas Tech, and I think St. Mary's was in my Final Four. So,
Ooh,
but I still have UConn and the Zags in the ship. So I like that combination. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get enough points for the
yeah.
rest of the tournament to win, but I do like those odds with those two teams get at least getting to the ship. And if those two get there, I think we're in store for a whale of a game.
Yeah, I mean, if you, I would love to see Houston versus UConn just because those are two heavyweights. But I do. Let's not sleep on Carolina, man. They went on a 12. I watched that game from the entirety, and we were down probably 12, and we went on like a 16-0 run or 15-0 run, and Michigan State could not buy a basket. Baycott was on. R.J. Davis, All American, was on. And then Harrison Ingram, he has been incredible. He started off 4 for 4 from behind the arc, and then he was just a defensive menace to them. So was what's his name? Seth Tremble. Can't talk enough about him too. So I'd say watch out for Carolina, but Arizona's going to be very, very tough if Carolina. I think they play Bama. I would love to see an upset here and see Grand Canyon instead because I know Carolina can beat them. Bama just scares me because they score so many points, but we did beat them earlier in the year, which is good. So,
Though North Carolina, I mean, they've got a lot of talent. There's a reason they squeaked in and got a 1 seed. They're a very good team, and you know what? To have a nice run like that and beat a Michigan State team, a Tom Izzo led Spartan squad. I mean, that says something. I mean, that was a close game for a while. North Carolina was able to pull away, and then that was it. And they've got a little bit of everything, and Hubert Davis over there. I saw at the, I don't know if it was at the very
yes.
beginning of that game, North Carolina wasn't playing well, and they went to him with the reporter, and the reporter couldn't even get her question off, and he was just like, we're playing like crap or whatever. And he goes back to the huddle, and he got his team moving right away. So that's for sure. If North Carolina keeps playing that way, I don't know if anyone's gonna be able to stop them. They do have a little bit of everything, so I don't know though. We'll see.
So, a little backstory too, a fun little tidbit is that under Hubert Davis, as a coach and a player, they are 6-0 in the round of 32.
It's a nice little nugget.
Yeah, I figured. But yeah, when he was initially hired, I like to take over for Roy Williams, who is the absolute. He's the guy. You know, I was a little skeptical because I was like, we're not going to be able to recruit. I was wrong. He's been incredible. He's a player's coach, and he knows how to get the best out of his guys. And they usually run like a 7-man set usually per game, so they all usually play like close to like however many minutes is in a game, like probably 20, so 40 minutes. They all probably play close to like six, like about half the game at least, if not more. These starters, and Baycott and Davis just they're the senior leadership, and they carry the team.
Yeah, those two are trying to carry this Tar Heels squad to a championship. I don't know when the last time is they either won or they were at least in the championship game, but it's been a few years, I think.
So they were in it in 2022, we had the upset over Baylor in the round of 32, where we just kicked the hell out of them, and we ended up losing to Kansas. This is a bitter one because the floor blew up, like the whole floor moved under Armando Baycott. So as he's going up and he goes to plant his foot, the whole floor shakes. You could look up the video after this and you see it just like the floor shakes under him. And he goes down. He has to like go off the court because he got hurt, but he comes back. It was just they started not making the shots, but that was the last time they made the ship. They won in 2017.
Okay, so it's been not maybe as long as I thought, but I mean, yeah, they've been there a couple of times.
The ones that I remember, well, I don't remember 93, obviously, but 93, 05, 2009 with Tyler Hansborough, and then 2017. And we were in it in 2016, and we lost to a buzzer beater against Villanova, which is still, that one haunts me.
You know, I'm not a Tar Heel fan, but Hansborough was a handful for those years, man. Oh,
Well, it's funny because they showed like the all-time leading point scorer. It's still Hansborough, but Baycott is only like 200 total points behind him, but he won't catch him.
do they count the points in the tournament as well as the regular season?
Yeah. So they had to. They
Yeah,
would have to make a huge run, and he'd have to have 30 to 40 points. But that's not outside the realm. But
yeah.
it's very possible. They're going to need them to score. So we'll see. But yeah, like I said, Bama's going to be scary. They score a lot of points.
Yeah, you know what? They're similar to Kentucky with the great offense. I don't know how their defense is, but I think they're definitely one of those teams that scores a lot of points. So, you know, if it's a shootout, you never really know. But if Bama's defense doesn't come to play, that could do them in.
Yep, exactly. Did you place any side bets?
I did have one bet yesterday on the Gonzaga Kansas game, and I'll tell you, it was looking good. I just didn't get enough rebounds from two of the kids. I had that Dickinson guy on Kansas. I had
Hunter,
I
yeah,
thought I thought he would have 10 rebounds or more, and I don't know what he finished with, but he only had like four at the half. And I'm looking up and I'm like, dude, what the fuck is going on here?
I know.
But the points scored for all the guys, I think I hit on all those.
Nice.
Some of those kids were right around 20 or more. Um, I didn't win the bet, but yeah, it was still a good game to watch too. And obviously, I have Gonzaga going far, so it was a good game to watch.
Yeah, I have. I did a parlay yesterday. I did. Uh, who was it? Who played in the first game yesterday? Sorry, this is great podcasting here. So I had North Carolina obviously to win. I had. Where are they?
I'm trying to
Uh,
think who that game was.
I'm trying to find it myself. This is great podcasting.
The North Carolina Michigan State. I think that was the 4:30 game, if I'm not mistaken. So I think there were
Yes,
two games on before that.
there was. We gotta find them.
Um,
Oh, okay, Gonzaga. So I had Gonzaga to win, and then I had North Carolina, and last but not least, I did have um, who was the in between game?
trying to think too. Yeah, the first couple games of the day, I
Either
think
way, I
I
hit a
won.
parlay. I'll look it up real quick, because now I could actually get up to us. But while I look, those first few games are just always electric. I usually love to bet the first couple because then it gets you set the tone. For the whole day if you could hit any of those because then you have a little bit of money to play with. It was Arizona. That's who I was thinking of. So Arizona, Gonzaga, Carolina had nice little payouts. So that was a nice little parlay to hit on. And then today I do have, so Marquette won, which is good. I got Marquette, Purdue. I had to take Duke, Baylor, and then Bama. So we're going complete chalk. So hopefully that one pays out.
I like all those picks though. And honestly, I
Yeah.
mean, as the tournament usually goes on, you usually start to pick some of the favorites, especially if they're playing well. So
Yeah. So hopefully we last a little longer on that one. Hopefully Purdue wins, so I don't have to stress it out too bad, but they should. It's close right now, but they'll pull away.
still kind of shocked that you picked Duke to win though, being a Tar Heel and all.
I don't. I could see James Madison beating him, but I just don't want to risk it on a parlay. And if Purdue ends up winning significantly, I might cash it out and just coast the rest of it, and then maybe like re up it. But yeah, I don't want to pick Duke, but Duke's way too athletic, and I think James Madison's going to get exposed by Duke.
Yeah, who did Duke just beat this last round?
Duke played Vermont. And Vermont is one of those senior leadership teams that used to be able to shoot the three really well, but this year was not their year to pick that upset. And Duke doesn't have the injuries like Filipowski's still there, Roach is still there, so I just couldn't bring it to myself to actually pick against Duke. That was the problem.
Yeah, I mean either way you look at it, they're still a strong team. But yeah, I
Oh,
don't.
they're gonna get by and face Houston. Let's not play like they're gonna lose. They're too strong here. It's an ACC team. They're good, but I think Houston will beat them because their defense is just scary.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I think Tech playing Houston, but yeah, I mean Duke for sure. I mean, with Houston's defense, yeah, I think that could be an ugly game.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to talk about it next week after the games are done.
You know what? That's what we do. You know, we do this once a week, and we do this is how we do it. You know, this is what we live for.
Absolutely. What's better than sitting here talking sports? But yeah, March Madness in general is just like Christmas. I love it.
Oh, it's my favorite time of the year, and then obviously you got the baseball start of the
Baseball
season's right around the corner. So yeah,
Thursday. Thursday is gonna be awesome. Also, do you have T-Mobile or no?
I do not.
Okay, because T-Mobile does the free MLB package.
Oh, I didn't know that. What comes with that?
Oh, you get to watch all the games, anything that's out of market. So pretty much, I could go watch any Dodger game now that I want.
Oh, interesting. Okay, you know, maybe we'll have to switch from Verizon to T-Mobile.
Yeah, good little plug on there. No free ads, but yeah, yeah.
Sorry, Verizon.
Yeah. Also, we'll have NBA playoffs coming up soon too, with NHL as well. So we'll see. Well, it's gonna be. I love like the April time for sports. April and October is usually like the prime times because you got NFL kickoff too.
I'd say there's a good few months stretch in there. Yeah, I'd agree with you on that.
Yeah. All right. Any closing words? Anything I might have missed? Oh, oh my God! How did we forget it? We'll run through it really quick. This whole Otani thing. Is Otani going to end up being the next Pete Rose?
Boy, I tell you, I mean, we certainly need to gather some more information with this. Now MLB's doing their own investigation, but man, what that was a shockwave when we heard that news a couple days ago. I mean,
I really
the
hope.
Dodgers have to be on pins and needles right now.
I'm on pins and needles. I have no dog in the fight. He's just he makes baseball right now, and if he gets caught with that, that's not good. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, if I guess you hope it's just the interpreter because honestly, I mean, Otani's such a likable guy, you know. I mean, he's the greatest thing he's the greatest talent that we've ever seen in this sport by far. So
Yeah.
it would be a travesty if something terrible were to come of that.
And for the viewers at home who probably don't know what's going on with Otani, it's the sports betting. His interpreter got caught with a wire transfer betting like 4.5 million. I think that was the around the amount uh, from his account. Otani says he didn't know about it. Apparently, there's a lot of shady stuff about this interpreter. Apparently, the Angels said that this interpreter went to UC Davis and graduated with like all these degrees and stuff. Apparently, that was false. I saw that either last night or this morning on Twitter, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Someone did quote tweet it was like, "How funny would it be if his interpreter actually didn't even speak Spanish or Japanese?" I was like, "Oh my god, that'd be like just the cream of the crop." But I mean, I hope that Otani really was out of the loop on this. I really do because if he was the one placing these bets, uh,
Oh, it's going to be the worst look for the sport in a long. It's probably going to be one of the worst things we've had since all the steroid stuff. You
oh,
know, I mean,
I'm pro steroid. I don't know about you, but I'm pro steroid.
hey, you know what? You're preaching to the choir. So am I. But obviously, we had that whole big thing with that. I mean, hope to God, yes. Hopefully, it's just the interpreter. But yeah, Man, I mean, I heard that a couple days ago, and I mean, my jaw literally hit the floor.
Wow, you have a big
Yeah,
job. Yeah.
it's a big jaw. I mean, you gotta unwind it sometimes when you're eating one of those burgers from Kuma's Corner.
Do you remember? Did you ever see the Christmas Carol with Jim Carrey, the animated
I
version, like
I don't
long
know.
time ago?
I
The
don't know if
reason
I
I'm
have.
bringing this up is because in one of the scenes, Marley comes back and he's talking and his jaw breaks and it like falls to the floor. So he had to take his little like wrap that they used to put around their head, probably to stop it from swelling, is why they did it. And he had to like re-put it back up. And so he's sitting there trying to talk and he's like holding his jaw. So I'm just picturing you with that.
Yeah, it's a good look.
Yeah. Besides the fact we have beards too. So it would just be even better with that.
Yeah, I think anything with a beard is a little bit better. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, all right. Now that we closed out that, any closing words for the audience here?
Well, just stay tuned. We got some more good games tonight, and then I think so. This next week we've got there's a few days off after today for March Madness, right?
Yeah, we have the women's tournament still going on today and tomorrow as well, and probably the next day. And then we do have a little break until Thursday. So Thursday, huge day, opening day, and then we have March Madness again for the Sweet 16.
So everyone listening at home, just buckle up and get prepared because next week's going to be a big one.
Yep, big episode, and also don't forget baseball is back, baby.
Oh, we're back.